genuinely tragic to see a video game series that so many people have fallen in love with over the years fall into the wrong hands and get changed completely to fit a dynamic that matches ideologies in their world and completely changes what you fell in love with in the first place, which is actually exactly what looks like is happening with Dragon Age the Veilguard. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Dragon Age the Veilguard reviews have revealed something curious. And it's interesting. It's something I spoke of in a previous video about how they were very interesting people that had access to these review codes, that they all seem to fit a certain checkbox that EA and BioWare were looking for. And because of that, they got the reviews that they expected out of them. But unfortunately, it doesn't end there. In fact, that was just the tip of the proverbial iceberg when it comes to Dragon Age the Veilguard review situation. Nearly every review that's coming out, at least so far, is parroting the same verbiage, the same phrase, a return to form, which on the surface you could look at that and say, it's a coincidence. No big deal. People are looking too far into this. But then when you see every single review seemingly say the same thing, you have to wonder, why is this happening? Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down how Dragon Age the Veilguard is actually lifting up the underbelly of Gamergate 2 and exposing it for all to see what's actually transpiring with these review outlets and how they're all owned by the same handful of companies parroting the same phrases to make sure that they're pushing the agendas of their buddies in the industry. The reviews for Dragon Age the Veilguard are filing in nice and neatly, and something just doesn't feel right. Nearly every review is parroting the same phrase, a return to form, lavishing praise for BioWare and EA's latest release. But this isn't the case of consensus. No, it's actually coordinated propaganda, and something that got pointed out by Grums on Twitter. And I also had a lot of people sharing images with me as well, showing this disturbing trend about how all these review outlets are saying the same exact thing about the game. And it makes you wonder, why is that? For those of you that aren't familiar with the astroturfing term when it comes to reviews, it's a deceptive practice that involves creating a false impression of widespread support for or opposition to something. The term is a play on words for grassroots on astroturf, implying that the support is fake or artificial. And that's what a lot of people are seeing right now when it comes to these review scores, that they seem very fake, fabricated. Interestingly curious that they're all exactly the same. And on top of that, according to information coming out of some YouTube channels, BioWare and EA seem to have been handpicking reviewers based on their identity politics and their ideological alignments, heavily favoring those who identify as trans or non-binary to try and ensure favorable coverage, giving just the codes to people that identify as such, and then leaving everyone else out in the cold saying, yeah, not our problem. We don't think we're going to get a favorable review from you, so you're just not getting a code. YouTuber Fextra has accused BioWare of selectively distributing review codes to ensure higher ratings for Dragon Age the Veilguard. He stated, just think about this for a second. If you're on the EA end and you're trying to manipulate review scores because you want high review scores, what are you going to do? You're going to research press and content creators and what they usually give to games score-wise to give you a general idea of how they're going to review their game. Because if you can find out before you give a code to someone what type of score your game's going to get, then you can artificially enhance the overall Metacritic score of your game, at least initially out of the gate, and people that are on the fence thinking, maybe I'll buy this game, I want to wait for the scores, and then you see 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s, every reviewer across the board is just praising and glowing reviews of this game. There's no issues at all, it's the greatest game ever, okay? Then the general public that might look at review scores, I know there are some out there that still do this, might look at it and say, well, I guess my decision's made for me, I'm going to go buy this game now. When in reality, They made sure they curtailed all the reviews to only show the good ones. They didn't give any of the codes out to anyone who might have so much as hinted that they didn't like the direction the game was going. And you pair that with the return to form situation, and it makes a lot more sense. BioWare and EA are seemingly selecting and handpicking the people they want to review this game initially to give it the best scores possible, and the people they're selecting are following the people that work on the game and making sure that they're making their masters happy. John Epler, the narrative director for Dragon Age the Veilguard, stated on Blue Sky, "So 5 years ago, when I first rejoined the project as narrative director after a hiatus on Anthem, I was asked my goals for the project. And one of the ones I put was, I want to see the phrase, a triumphant return to form for BioWare in at least one review. Excited to finally mark that goal as done." So the narrative director told all of his buddies in the review industry to say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, guys. I rub your backs. I'll give you the review codes. We give you an early access media. I scratch your back. You scratch mine. Everyone's happy. Let's just keep this good thing going. And the people that don't want to participate, we just won't give them codes. And everyone else will think the game's great. It's a win-win for everyone. Checkpoint Gaming. Dragon Age the Veilguard is a triumphant return to form, PlayStation Universe, and is without a doubt a return to form for BioWare. Digital Trends. Dragon Age the Veilguard is a return to form for the once lauded RPG studio. IGN Portugal. Dragon Age the Veilguard is a return to form for BioWare. Pure Xbox. Dragon Age the Veilguard is a triumphant return to form for BioWare. And it goes on and on and on. And you gotta wonder, putting two and two together, you got the narrative director putting this out there on Blue Sky saying, hey reviewers, we're going to give you this code early. We just want you to say this thing about it and make sure we get good reviews on it and we're all good, right? Like, it's right out in the open. They're not even hiding it anymore. They're literally publicly saying this is what they're doing. At the heart of this echo chamber is the monopolized media landscape. People are starting to see the patterns that I've been talking about for a while now. Ziff Davis Media, a gigantic conglomerate, controls a massive share of gaming journalism. Under its ownership are Eurogamer, Extreme Tech, GameIndustry.biz, IGN, PC Mag, Rock Paper Shotgun, VG247, and the empire extends even further, as IGN alone owns Outside Xbox, Digital Foundry, and Hookshot, which Hookshot in turn controls Nintendo Life, Push Square, Pure Xbox, and Time Extension. All of these are owned by the same conglomerates. They're all the same arm of the same body, parroting the same exact phrases. And I know a lot of people would think, hey, yeah, this has been happening in media for a while. We all know fake news. We don't trust and listen to anything. But I used to think that was just like Fox News, CNN. You don't really bother listening to them because they're all owned by bigger entities. But it's now come to gaming, and it's been here for a while, and it's becoming more and more prevalent, and they're getting more and more confident pushing it out there like, what are you going to do about it? We own everything. You got to come to one of us if you want information. Effectively, there are only like 2 or 3 real controlling voices in the entire mainstream gaming journalism landscape. And these are the same people that people like Ash Parrish are telling us that we should be trusting because they're tent poles. They're legacy media that you got to trust because they've been around for a while.
So what you want to do is you always want to consider your source. You can get your opinions, you can get your hot takes, you can get your video game reviews from wherever you want, I don't care. But when you are consuming news, like what is happening in the gaming world, consider your source and always consider reliable sources. Your reliable sources are going to be like your big, tentpole legacy media kind of places. I work for The Verge, which is a vertical of Vox Media. There's Polygon, there's IGN, there's GameSpot, there's all these different legacy video game websites that have been around for a very long time that have a vested interest in making sure that the things that they share with you, the things that they write, are up to journalistic standards.
These media giants exert power over perception, dictating exactly what you hear, how they want you to hear it, and when and what you hear about it, about any major releases. By placing nearly identical articles across their networks of sites, they create an illusion of independent praise that all flows from the same exact source. When one company owns nearly all the mainstream outlets, it isn't surprising at all that every review sounds nearly identical, because they all come from the same people and ultimately have the same agenda in mind. And could you imagine working for one of these outlets and doing a quote-unquote review for a game when you know at the end of the day you're not going to get another code, you're not going to have a job secured in the future if you don't do exactly what they tell you to do? How can you give an unbiased, honest review if you've been compromised? Most of what you read and hear isn't independent, but instead controlled content coming from just a few powerful players in the industry. While people have felt that media in general for a while has been working like this on a major level for years, like I said, it's very unfortunate to see it hit in real time the games industry, and it's being exposed for all to see. It's basically straight up Gamergate 2.0 right now, where access media is being proven to get access before anyone else as long as they parrot exactly what the studios are telling them to say. We need to talk about captured gaming journalism and how corrupt it's become. Dragon Age Veilguard is astroturfing articles and reviews now, parroting the lead narrative designer of the game. Look at these reviews and articles that all repeat the same phrase and ask yourself, what is going on? Why would they all repeat the same phrase that the narrative director is asking the reviewers to say in their reviews? Whatever happened to just giving your honest opinion about a game after you play it? John Epler even followed up his previous post saying, "This project has been both the greatest privilege and the hardest dev cycle of my career. To say I'm proud of this team would be an understatement, and to say I'm thrilled at the reviews would be similar. Phew!" And it almost comes across like he feels that thankfully the deals they have in place in the back room still work. Ironically, in EA and BioWare's push to get Dragon Age the Veilguard the best score possible and make sure the manipulated public does not see what's happening, the exact opposite is transpiring right now, where people are raising eyebrows and looking around saying, wait a second, the game looks like it's injecting a lot of ideologies that gamers don't want in their fantasy franchise. How come no one's actually calling this out in their reviews? And they dive a little bit further, just under skin surface, and look and say, oh, it's because they are individually picking people to make sure they get exactly the words they want to manipulate you into purchasing this game. Don't fall for it. And furthermore, this is something that I would say needs to be investigated by the authorities because it's anything but ethical. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com for the full article on BioWare and EA's Dragon Age the Veilguard completely exposing the underbelly of Gamergate 2. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
She's still holding the ruby in her other hand. Maker's panties. I was so proud.
Oh,
Ah, shit. They're still holding it. Sorry.
what are you doing?
Pulling a barv.
Oh, okay. A barv?
Tradition in the Lords of Fortune from one of our old members, Barv. Good guy, but like most of us, his plans went sideways a lot. Bad blood among your crew's not good for morale, but there's not always time for big drawn-out apologies. So when one of us screws up and we know we've screwed up, we do a quick 10 to put it right. Pulling a barv.
Smash,